Hard question.
Oh, boy. I don't like him going to breaks.
I know.
I asked the questions
Yeah,
around
we got
here,
4
by the
minutes.
way.
What do you got?
No, I want to talk about. We've talked about Sheldon Keefe. Everyone in Twitter world, Sheldon Keefe fire Keefe. And, it's a thing, right? And we've basically said we don't think that's correct. It's not the time yet. We haven't really taken a stance on it, but we've talked about it.
Yeah. It's too early for me right now.
Me too.
Agree.
Do you think, because it is part of the conversation, do you think the Leafs would allow Kyle Dubas, with no contract past this season, to fire and hire the next coach, knowing that GMs like to have their own guy? Kyle came in and got to have his own guy. Would they let Kyle make that decision? And
Yeah, I got news for you.
would they let that, what? They're going to hire Kyle's guy and fire him at the end if they don't want Kyle?
Kyle can stay or Kyle can go, but he ain't making the decision.
If Sheldon goes or stays or goes.
If there's a new coach coming in,
Yeah.
it is way beyond
Kyle's opinion.
Kyle Dubas's input.
So you think Brendan Shanahan hires the next coach?
My guess is yes.
Yeah. Just in case.
Where it falls from the very top, I don't know, but this is well beyond Kyle Dubas's decision.
Shout out to my boy Ian Cass again. We had this discussion from yesterday, but with Dubas's contract the way it is,
Yeah.
it just seems to me like you wait until this Christmas or whatever it is, and you say, all right, do we believe that Dubas is our guy enough to make trades at the deadline and to do these sort of things? And that hinges on what happens with Sheldon, to me. Is that relationship, if they keep Kyle, if the team turns it around, otherwise, you go away from Kyle too. It feels like because of Kyle's contract, it's both or none.
I think it would be a bigger look. And it all depends on who they feel is the next guy. Who is the next guy behind the bench? And where does he sit in terms of a power and a pecking order? Remember, Kyle already went through it once with Mike Babcock.
Who had a lot of authority.
Where he's paid more money, he's owed more money.
Longer term.
Bigger
name,
and he got him out eventually, and he brought in his guy. Where does that power dynamic lie if, say, Barry Trotz comes in?
Well, that's my question. If you have Barry Trotz come in, he's not coming in for cheap or for short term, so you give him 5 times 5 or whatever that contract is. And then who's in charge?
Maybe you give him the Pat Quinn deal. He wanted to be the GM. Remember, he wanted to be the GM. He was talking about that. He wanted to maybe get away from coaching. Give them both.
Yeah.
Pat Quinn him.
I was on JD's show, and I said my guess would be if there's making a hard decision on Sheldon, it would be very difficult for Kyle to stay as well.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I go with this too.
Yeah.
Is that
and then
because if they do go 5 times for Trotz,
it's
and then they fire Kyle, bring someone else in who says I want my guy
under the support of MLSE and Brendan Shanahan, and I would guess that Brendan would slide into interim general manager.